We've been talking about that blueprint, the blueprint to the religious world. We've been seeing what that blueprint is. We have been seeing that the image of God is that blueprint. We have been seeing that the image of God is that blueprint, and that blueprint is the philosophy of the religious world, or is the code of Moses. This is the unchangeable and inescapable ethic of the religious world. It will never be any different. Never. As far as we are alive, we alive right now are living and will die with the ethic of the code of Moses, or of the philosophy of the religious law, being the primary means to approach the living God. And we've seen that this ethic, this approach, it is false. Nevertheless, that is the blueprint. That is the blueprint. And that is set up to be the way that it's supposed to be. Yet, from our previous meeting, we saw that this blueprint will come to an end. There will come a time, there will be a period where this blueprint, where there is an approach through deeds, through rites, through ceremonies, through theories, through superstitions, through what is extraterrestrial, through this, through that, through whatever you want to have it, it will come to an end. And giving birth to a new earth, to a new heaven, and to no more sea. And from our previous meeting, seeing that this comes about, as I have said from our previous meeting, through a war of assemblies. The revelation isn't literal. The revelation is not literal. There is nothing within the revelation that should be taken literally. If we do, we will mislead ourselves. The revelation is an allegory. The revelation is a vision. The revelation is a revelation. The revelation is a dream. You have to understand it. You have to understand its context. And that's what we're now going to do. Because making the claim that this new heaven, and then this new earth, and then this no more sea, this is happening due to, as I said in the previous meeting, chapter 20 unfolding and then chapter 19 unfolding. Understanding chapter 19 and 20, we can really understand what 21 is about. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a look at what is leading up to this new earth and to this new heaven. Looking at how the Bible breaks this down. And beginning in Revelation 19 and verse 11. Revelation 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven opened. And behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Again, I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. He that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, in righteousness he doth judge and make war. We've answered these questions already in a lot of the episodes in our meetings together. But for the sake of this, in its connection to the revelation, just a brief brush up. What is heaven? We have to answer. What is a horse? We have to answer. What is a white horse? What does it mean to war and judge in righteousness? What is righteousness? We've answered these questions in numerous episodes of justification. So because of that, I'm not going to review all of this because it's already been stated. But I'm going to give brief points just so we can put these pieces of the puzzle of the revelation together. What is heaven? What is heaven? Psalm 102:19. Psalm 102, verse 19, for he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary, from heaven did the Lord behold the earth. Again, he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary, from heaven did the Lord behold the earth. So the Bible's making a connection here, a connection we've drawn out in different episodes, but briefly touching on at this point. Heaven here is a figurative illustration for the heavenly sanctuary. What is here termed heaven is to mean sanctuary. The heaven is the heavenly sanctuary. When we hear heaven opened, we are supposed to understand that the two rooms of the sanctuary are open, or that one of the rooms of the sanctuary is open. The heaven is the temple, the tabernacle, the sanctuary. So when we're hearing heaven, we have to understand that heaven represents the heavenly sanctuary. So I saw heaven opened. I saw the heavenly sanctuary opened. What next took place was a white horse. What is a horse? In this context, what is a horse? Zechariah 10:3. Zechariah chapter 10 and verse 3. Zechariah chapter 10 and verse 3, mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For the Lord of hosts hath visited his flock, the house of Judah, and hath made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Now I'm going to read that part again. That is part B of Zechariah 10 and verse 3. For the Lord of hosts hath visited his flock, the house of Judah, and hath made them as his goodly horse in the battle. This horse that we are seeing is not a literal horse. This horse is actually an assembly. We're seeing in vision the heavenly temple, the heavenly sanctuary opened, heaven opened, and what we're seeing is a white horse. And white, I've gone through that already. I won't put that, that's not here to get back into, but white is a purity. It's automatic. Think purity. Because it's pure, because it's coming from the source of purity, which is the heavenly sanctuary. And so what we have here is the heavenly sanctuary open, and what's coming out is an assembly pure. An assembly pure. And there being an assembly that is pure and proceeding from out of the heavenly sanctuary, they are judging and warring with righteousness. Judging and warring with righteousness. What is righteousness? Psalm 97 in verse 2. Psalm 97 in verse 2. Clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. Psalm 99 in verse 4. The king's strength also loveth judgment. Thou dost establish equity. Thou executest judgment and righteousness in Jacob. Psalm 37:6. Psalm 37:6. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Now the Bible is allowing us to understand the application that it is drawing concerning righteousness. When hearing righteousness, again, this has been fully drawn out in previous meetings, but when hearing or observing righteousness, we're seeing it connected to another word, which is judgment. We can easily replace judging, warring righteously with judging, warring in judgment. Righteousness equals judgment, but what does judgment mean? Deuteronomy 17:11. Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 11, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do. The Bible here is making a connection between judgment and law. Judgment means law. Righteousness and judgment meaning the same thing. Judgment and law meaning the same thing. Judgment and righteousness meaning the same thing. Isaiah 51:4, and this is where the connection is going to be brought out a little bit more. Isaiah 51:4. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. What we have here, although it is saying righteousness, judging righteousness, in righteousness, warring and judging, it is really that in law, he is warring and judging. In and with law, he is warring and judging. Righteousness meaning judgment, judgment meaning law, and law in this context meaning judgment or philosophy or doctrine or counsel or wisdom. Again, terms all brought out when referencing this phrase righteousness that we have reviewed. When warring and judging in righteousness, one is warring and judging in philosophy. One is warring and judging in doctrine. One is warring and judging in law. One is warring and judging in counsel. One is warring and judging in wisdom. I wish you could know So from what we have put together thus far, it's really easy to see that this is not a literal war. What we have here is a pure assembly whose background and who is born from out of the heavenly sanctuary, warring and judging by the law of a philosophy. That horse is the assembly. That white horse is the assembly. The rider is what they are warring with. The rider, the one riding the assembly, the one seated, better way to envision this, the one seated on top of the assembly, the one seated on top of the horse, is the law of the philosophy that they are warring and judging with. This is not a literal thing going on. There is no one from the sky coming down from the sky. The sky isn't breaking and armies of beings coming down from out of another extraterrestrial location. That's not what the Bible is getting at. That's not what the author of the book of the Revelation is getting at. Remember, this is a revelation. On more than one occasion, just as in the book of Ezekiel, the author of the book of the Revelation lets us know, I was taken in spirit. I was taken in spirit. I was in spirit. If we should ever read these things literally, we do our faith's intellect great harm. We should not do that, because we end up leading our conversation down paths that are not really sync or fit or meshing with what the author of the Revelation or the mind within the scriptures even is getting at. The author of the book of the Revelation, in very colorful language, is telling us one side of the controversy. On this one side of the controversy is an assembly that is without taint, is an assembly whose intellect is intact, whose devotional character matches the character that is within the heavenly sanctuary, or that is within the scriptures. That is the one side of the controversy. It is an assembly doing justice for the devotional character that is within the scriptures concerning the living God. Now, who are they warring against? Because although we see this one assembly, and leading this assembly is the law of a philosophy concerning the fact of what is at the core of the scriptures, they are followed by others of their own kind. Other assemblies of their own kind. So they're not alone. There's one main, and there are others following behind. Who are they warring against? Revelation 19:19. Revelation 19:19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Now keep in mind, this him that sat on the throne, this his army, this gender is not referencing a literal male. Bible likes to put gender onto different things, including philosophy. You can go into the book of Psalms. For she shall be thy crown. Who is the she? The author of the book of the Proverbs. Sorry if I said Psalms. Who is the she? The author of the Proverbs is talking about. She is thy crown. That's wisdom. That she is wisdom. This he here is not literal. This he here is the one that is riding on top of the horse. This he here is the one that is on top of the assembly. This he is that law of philosophy. So what we have here is an assembly fit to witness and to give testimony concerning the conscience of the scriptures, warring against what is called the beast, and again their associates, the kings of the earth, and their armies with them, gathered together to make war against the side of the controversy that we are first introduced to. Now, if the first side of the controversy is an assembly and is seen as white, pure, clean, exiting from out of the heavenly sanctuary, and following behind them is our assemblies along the same lines as them, we have to understand that on the other side of the controversy is the same thing. What is a beast? What is a beast? When looking into the scriptures, what is a beast? Daniel 7:17 gives us a quick answer. Daniel 7 and verse 17 gives us our quick answer. These great beasts which are four kingdoms, are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. These 4 kings, being 4 beasts, are 4 kingdoms. But they're not necessarily straight kingdoms. These are not secular royal creatures. Every beast in this context is a royal creature, yes, but it is a royal creature governed by both law and religion. The beast in scriptures and in this context is a government entity, a universal government entity ruled by both law and religion, or church and state. The beasts of scriptures and in this context are kingdoms that are ruled, or are universal governments that are ruled by both law and religion. So when we're seeing that one of the enemies was the beast, Revelation 13 allows us to understand that the beast that came up from the earth followed the same pattern as the beast that was before it. And the beast that was before it, as the verses tell us, was a creature that ruled both law and religion. They were given to destroy the earth, the leopard beast, Revelation 13, the opening verses. They were given to destroy the earth, which is secular, or the world, which is secular, and they were also given to destroy the saints, which is not secular, which is religious. The power of the leopard beast was civil and religious. The power of the beast coming up from the earth, following in that same pattern, as it says that it does and will, is both law and religion, ruling by the same. So what we have here is the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies. We have a government religion, a universal government religion, and their hosts behind them just as the same as on the other side, along with their armies beside them just as it is on the other side. Assembly is warring against assembly. And although we may hear not so much as clear as an assembly being defined as beasts and kings and all this, that's what it is. And just to show that, who are these entities that are making up what is called the beast and the kings of the earth and all that? Looking at Revelation 20, next chapter after 19, Revelation 20 and 12. Revelation 20 and verse 12, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. Now these dead are the previous individuals that were rolling with that beast and that are those kings and that are those armies, their members. Now, in the next chapter, having fallen, they are now suffering a judgment. Who are these dead? Because they were previously alive and yet dead at the same time in chapter 19. And now they are the dead yet and still. This is their category. They are categorized as the dead. Isaiah 14 and verse 9. Isaiah 14 and verse 9 really tells us, Isaiah 14 and 9, in a quick way, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Now, the Bible does not ever once in a critical or factual way talk about a second coming of any Messiah from the sky. But in the book of Isaiah, it tells us the second coming of a Lucifer figure, and the ones to meet him are his chief ones. I always found that interesting. The beast and the kings of the earth, they are made up of chief ones of the earth. It is the chief ones and the assemblies of the chief ones that are warring against that white horse and its rider, and the assemblies alongside that white horse and its rider. This is a war of This is an ecclesiastical war. This is a battle of philosophy. This is a battle of doctrine. Whether a pastor or a church leader or a ministry volunteer, or whether the work is going on within and that it's personal, your soul temple being cared for, Church Source is your online source for everything that you need to make your journey and your ministry prosperous. Head on over to my website to click the affiliate links. They will take you to Church Source, where you will be able to see and to discover the resources that will help you make your journey and your ministry thrive. So who are these chief ones? Looking at Psalm 2:10. Psalm 2 and verse 10 reads, "Be wise now, therefore, O you kings, be instructed, you judges." So the Bible is exchanging kings for judges here. It's letting us know, be instructed, you judges, be wise, you kings. It's fair to exchange these two. Kings are judges. This is letting us know the context. Looking at Psalms 2 and verse 2. Same chapter, Psalms 2 and verse 2. "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed." So now we're seeing that these kings are not simply just judges. These kings are rulers. This is not a secular context. This is a religious context. Looking at 1 Chronicles 24:6, just to put that into perspective. 1 Chronicles 24:6, "And Shemaiah, the son of Nethaneel, the scribe, one of the Levites, wrote them before the king and the princes, and Zadok the priest, and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar, and before the chief of the fathers of the priests and Levites." So when we're seeing chief ones, we should actually be thinking along the lines of the chief of the fathers of the priests. The chief of the fathers of the priests. When we're hearing that these kings of the earth, sure, these are kingdoms, but not necessarily kingdoms. These are assemblies mixed with law and religion. Who is leading these? Who leads these assemblies? These are the chief of the fathers of the priests. Looking at 1 Kings 8 and verse 1. 1 Kings 8 and verse 1, it reads, "Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers of the children of Israel." So the Bible may be saying that on one side of the controversy, there is an assembly pure, exiting from out of the womb of the heavenly sanctuary, and with like-minded assemblies behind them. The Bible is saying that on one side, and on the other side, the Bible is saying that there is an assembly, there is a group, there is a congregation that is mixed with both law and religion, having the power of both law and religion, warring against that assembly that is pure and that is exiting from the heavenly sanctuary. We're seeing an assembly that is moving only by philosophy on the one hand, and on the other hand, we're seeing an assembly that is moving by law and religion. These are assemblies that are warring against one another. This isn't a literal combat. This isn't anything, again, phenomenal from the sky happening or taking place. This is all happening on the earth. Think Protestant Reformation. That's the closest or best thing that I could say that we in this time can reflect back on. Think Protestant Reformation, because that's what this is, basically. That's all this is. There's nothing phenomenal going on. Just as there was nothing extraterrestrial going on during the Protestant Reformation, what you see during the Protestant Reformation, that's exactly what these verses in chapter 19 are getting at. We're seeing a new kind of Reformation. Only thing is that the assembly leading it is the intended assembly to cause that reform. And they will. They will overthrow the universal religious government along with the chief of their fathers. They will do so. And that's where chapter 20 kicks in. Chapter 20 kicks in as the judgment against what has been overthrown. And we have to remember that what is overthrown is in context, not human beings. We have to remember that what is in context and overthrown is not human beings. The revelation is not a war against human beings on the part of the right side of the controversy. On the right side of the controversy, the war is against philosophy. The war is against mindset. The war is against approach. The war is about how innovative that approach is and the reset that it needs by the ones that are, through propaganda and through marketing and through oppression, degrading the devotional character of the living God. Well, there's going to come a point in time when that warfare takes place, that warfare has its victor, when there is a judgment cast not against men, not against human beings, but against what was overthrown, which is philosophy, leading to Revelation 21, the conception and the birth of a new sphere, of a new, quote-unquote, world, where the old is gone, where there is no more sea, but where only the concrete fact of what the core of the scriptures, concerning the approach to the living God is, and will be from that point on and forward.